This beautiful instrument was invented by a known bigot, John Piano, during the 1969 Italian census. It was used as a counting device, which intentionally miscounted the number of minorities for every 11 white people. However, it was later discovered in 1989 that the device actually produced a beautiful sound when played properly.
I will not be playing it properly. I've come to understand I have a sort of superpower. You know, whilst other people's superpower will be like they can order pizza over the phone, they can not smoke so much crack in a day, or they just don't have a panic attack in the local supermarket. You know, whilst those are great, those are good, those are awesome, mine's a little more useful because like I think I can turn anything into a controller. Like if you've seen any of my earlier stuffs, definitely more scuffed stuffs. We don't talk about that one. I really enjoy playing games differently, but it was only until I taped 2 Nintendo controllers to my head that I realized how much physically changing the actual way you play the game, like with the keyboard, the mouse, the controllers, whatever, changing it from your stereotypical way of playing it and twisting that, you know, like a purple nurple Gerple gripple for the way you play the game, you know? So I made this thing. Well, I didn't make the piano, obviously. It's a chord piano, but like the other thing that I made to be played with this thing, that's what I made. Like it's a whole thing. You gotta. So I got this idea from stumbling across this video from Darockart. His channel's down below, by the way. He uses an electric keyboard to PC keyboard translator, which allows you to assign what happens when you press and release certain notes on the electric keyboard, effectively turning it into a controller with 88 buttons. But there was one issue.
What's up? It's me. This is my house, my room. Yep. This is the keyboard. Ignore the cum. But look, this is. It plays well. It's great. The only thing is, we have the power cord here, all hooked up, good to go. The other thing, where the fuck do I plug it into the computer? There's nothing here. I can't do it.
So it turns out I can't use that translator software at all. Fuck. So I just built it myself. Because there was no way to connect my keyboard to my keyboard, the only way to achieve that connection was through the air. Kind of like chemtrails, but completely different. See, each note has a different frequency to it, allowing it to be distinguished from one note to the next, and then to the next, and to the next, and to the... So all I had to do was write some code that detects what frequency the note I play is in, allocate a certain key to that frequency, and then make it press whatever key I gave it on my typey keyboard. There were some issues though. No matter what I did, it responded really fast to notes like middle C, E, G, and A, but then dipped down and swim in its own drool for keys like G sharp, A sharp, and then it would stop breathing and then blink with each individual eye for keys like C sharp, D sharp, and F sharp. And considering how many keys it takes to play a game, at least at the level of someone who breathes in car fumes for a living, we needed more of them to function just as well as those first 4. And the more I tested it, the more it had the reaction speed of a 9-year-old who just huffed about a dozen CO2 canisters when the keys played were a little too similar. For example, when middle C is played, the C key 1 octave below or higher was too similar, and it sent the code into a bad trip. But that was an easy fix. I just used groups of notes that had an octave between them, like playing in the 4th octave, and then the 6th, giving them that much needed space from one another, just like when your parents start sleeping in separate beds. So after all of this, it was just a matter of figuring out which frequencies reacted the fastest, and give those frequencies control of buttons you'd press constantly, like the WAS keys, and then assign the other less urgent keys to the barely responsive art school type frequencies. At this point though, I realized I had been ignoring the middle child the whole time. Depending on the game, the use of the mouse can range from being not used at all to being the only thing it fucking uses. So I had no choice but to give the mouse some seats on this brain aneurysm of a roller coaster ride too. So without further ado, I give you The worst keyboard and mouse that's ever been made. We don't want to collectively shit our pants too early over how flawlessly this thing functions, so I thought we'd start off easy. If you close your eyes for a second, a timeless classic combined with the sounds of an armless child trying to play the piano almost brings you back to the good old days. That's right, this shit actually works. Well, works is a strong word. There's a lot wrong with this. The biggest issue being there wasn't a way I could make two things happen at once. So it was very tank control-y, as in I can't jump and move to the right in mid-air. It's either you jump or you move right. That's it. And I hate to break it to you, but this is as far as I ever got. This is so shit. It's as far as I ever got in Mario. I couldn't get over this pipe. I mean, who runs out of time on the first level? And I'm like 10% in.
No, you bastard! No!
Because we couldn't just stick our hands into the mystery hole in the men's bathroom and just grab whatever we feel, we had to be more selective with what we picked. And I don't think a more perfect game could have been developed for this failed saw trap. Super Hot had everything. It had movement and looking, it had everything. Plus, the mechanic of the game that throws it into a jet overdose worked perfectly in my favor, since it was about 4 PM at the time of recording, and my daily Parkinson's was already taking full effect. To be honest, I could have completed the entirety of this game with this setup. Sure, it was just a prototype for something that will probably never be further worked on, but I was pretty proud for how well it worked while playing this. Sooner or later though, it was bound to throw up on itself. At this point, with the sheer amount of testing I put this thing through, I was developing the same habits as a playground fiddler. I was feeling a little balls and cocky. I was feeling ballsy. Considering I was wrapped up in a warm titanium embrace, I thought it was a good idea to take on a Deathclaw. Besides, we'd have a minigun with way too much ammo to not miss. So turns out the amount of time it takes for the gun to charge up and fire, well, it's just enough for my software to stop picking up my left click frequency. And if I tried to press that note again, it would restart the charge up process again and again and again and again.
No!
So it was really just a dice roll for when it would shoot. Making this personal hell taught me two important lessons. The first being to have the foresight to code in the ability to use the console, and the second being to never use this crock of shit again. So yeah, this thing sucked.